You are going to hear a terrible noise from the generator on the roof, and there's just no way around that. And I'm going to have to remember to look at the camera while still trying to remember to aim with my peripheral vision. Okay. I want to talk about mindfulness because I'm hearing that word a lot lately. I'm attending recovery meetings and I'm just sort of reactivating the mental health therapy activities that I haven't really been at leisure to do for a long time. I don't know what I'll get from it or what I won't get, and it doesn't matter. You don't know what you're going to get till after you get it. And tonight, I got the word mindfulness. I've heard that word before, and I've always used the word, and I have a very specific definition in mind. I've been trying to find out what people mean by mindfulness, and I'm not really getting a clear answer. They seem to be using it as a magic talisman of, I figure out how to calm down, and stress management in general. But I do have a very specific idea of what mindfulness is, and that there's actually more than one way to define mindfulness. Now, as a child, I had a form of mindfulness which, even at the time, I understood was remarkable. And I don't know how many people believed I was like that if I told them, or noticed it if I didn't. But it saved me a lot of trouble in life. I was able to step outside of my personal viewpoint and consider the viewpoints of the other people in the scene before choosing a behavior and how to react to the moment. In some ways, this made me a juicier target for the narcissist because I was a harder nut to crack. It took a little longer. But it also made sure that I never was arrested, because before I got to that point, I would realize something like, hey, wait a minute, these are just kids. And I'm just a kid now, but there's a part of me that's going to be an adult. And I can see right now that this is just someone's baby. And I had that happen when I was a child. And to me, that's a form of mindfulness. And I was always looking at my bullies and thinking, the person's got a lot of friends. There must be something about that person that is laudable, something to like, something to respect and admire. And I don't like their behavior. And I don't understand why they're doing this. I don't know what the heck is going on. Why are they treating me the way they do? But I'm not going to hate them. I'm just going to try to avoid them. And I did that for the most part. And I was a child in elementary school, and I was not part of any religious training, and I was reading beyond my years, but I wasn't really getting my moral education yet. And yet this was just native to my understanding. And then as an adult, as I started having to cope with and deal with and self-heal, because I couldn't find therapists that could heal me, and I knew very, very well that I was in need of healing. There was no denial in me. I got on it at a very young age. I turned to books. I turned to magazines. I turned to pamphlets. I turned to groups. Meditation groups, spiritual groups, pagan groups. I tried all the anon groups. I just kind of, I took life skills courses. I really have tried to educate myself over the years, including perusing the actual psych libraries at the university and medical libraries. Because a lot of what's wrong with me has been medical, in fact. You'd be amazed what a difference it can make to your life just to stay up on your vitamins. I kid you not. The difference it can make to your perspective. Okay, back to mindfulness. So then there's another form of mindfulness, and this is the sorcerer's mindfulness. And this one I find exciting and fun. This one relies on the idea that there are two worlds, the one that we call meat space, and the one that we call spiritual space. Now, in spiritual space, no one can agree what it is, where it is, or even if it is. But it's incredible how many people do agree that there's something. I've met very few dedicated atheists, and the only one I knew well rescinded near death. I kid you not, in the last 20 years of his life, he decided there's more to life than meat space. And that was an interesting thing for an old man to be doing. But we still haven't proven that it isn't a universal human fantasy to think there's more to me than meat space, because this is rough. And if this is all it is, what am I doing here? And a lot of people float that when I'm feeling negative about things. They're like, well, yeah, but you're here for a purpose. Like, as per whom? Or you know, there's more to you. And yeah, okay, I'm a wizard. But am I? Yes? No? Do we believe in shamans? Do we believe in religion? Do we believe in God? Do we believe in magic? Do we believe in elves? You know what? How do we define what the belief is? By the way, I started wearing my own creations. Nobody even looked at this on the street, so instead of making someone buy it, I'm wearing it. It's all covered in these little seed beads. I love it, and I'm happy to wear it. Anyway, so back to mindfulness. That was non mindful. That is, in spirituality, that the sorcerer's mindfulness comes when you remember that you are made of stars. You are not meat space. Meat space isn't even real. Meat space is important. It's as important as it can be. It's the most important thing possible. There is nothing more important than what's going on in meat space, but it's not real. If you've ever worked in theater or watched those old movies about people working in theater and trying to make a go of it, then you've heard, the show must go on. And that's kind of the thing. Meat space is a show that must go on. It is absolutely necessary. But the sorcerer remembers that at the same time it's vaporware. It's okay. It's okay, go ahead, screw up. It's not real. It doesn't matter. You're here to find out what happens when you screw up. It's alright. You're just here to see what happens. It's not more important than that. And it's as important as that. And really everything is equally important and nothing is more important. And so you don't have to get stressed about it. And so that's another form of mindfulness. The sorcerer's mindfulness. And then there is the recovery mindfulness. And the recovery mindfulness seems to be about preventing your mind from drifting, staying in the moment. And here's the interesting thing. That's the one I can't do. I just cannot stay in the moment. Not when I've got existential worries gnawing at my mind. Because there are so many things in my environment that remind me of the things about which I'm worrying that I'm easily triggered and dragged off mental course and taken out of mindfulness. And meditation hasn't helped. Knitting has helped. It's just like it helps me listen when I'm in a group or in a classroom. Having something to do with my hands also helps when I'm getting stressed or when I don't have something else to occupy me, like a conversation, a book I'm reading, a video I'm watching, good music that keeps me moving, or a good scenery that's worth watching. Like, there's a lot of things that can keep my mind busy. You stick me in an empty room and I will start crying within 5 minutes. I need something to keep my mind from thinking for itself. And that's not a universal problem. That is a problem directly connected to my life circumstances. I have lived long enough to be able to tell you that when I am in times of stability, where I know where I'm at and I know that it's adequate, that I'm not going to become sick or die or get jailed for not paying a fine or lose something significant of mine because I haven't been able to keep up payments. These big problems, the kind of things that you make movies about. When they're in my life is when the mindfulness fails. And I don't understand how recovery can happen on this level if it can't happen on this level first. I'm very much a physical recovery first. And that goes also to addictions. I don't think it's fair to expect someone to get over the addiction without solving the very real physical issues that are currently causing them issues, problems, and mental issues. I mean, for some people, their physical issues are like coasting, they're all right. But up here, man, they just can't handle anything. They just can't get over the idea that everybody wants to put them on the defensive, that everybody wants to take their power, that everybody's focused on a power game. Now, someone like that could take a lot of benefit from therapies of a variety of sorts, because it would help them to learn to see and respond to the world in a different way, and to see about themselves that they do respond to the world that way, and to be able to say, oh, maybe I don't want to respond to the world this way, but maybe that's not my intention. Hey, let me give you something interesting to look at. So mindfulness, I think, is a triple meaning of, and I'm going to sum them up: being observationally aware of the others in the room. That's a form of compassion and empathy. Situational awareness, that's a form of mindfulness, where your own feelings and your own perspective is just one portion of your understanding of the situation. And it helps you to mitigate your behavior, to control yourself, to reduce your own emotional responses, in fact. Then there is mindfulness in the spiritual sort of remembering that we're all made of stars, and all of this is an experiment, and it's okay, and you don't have to get stressed. You will get stressed. That's part of being here. It's, having one foot in the world, one foot in spirit, being here and not here, in the world, not of the world. The sorcerer's paradox. That's the Buddhist mindfulness. Remembering we're a spiritual being having an experience. And our goal is to have that experience as kindly and lovingly and compassionately as we possibly can, in order to teach the whole deeper level of love. And if there's a higher purpose, that's it. That is all it is. And if you're doing it all the days of your life, you're doing your higher purpose, trying to respond with love and compassion. You're not going to do it for everybody. Sometimes you're going to get mad. Sometimes you're going to cut people off. It's okay. You are included in that love and compassion. You're allowed to screw up, just like they are. And you don't even have to forgive someone if you know that they're just a predator. That's okay too. They don't expect that from you. You're not expected to do that. You're expected to simply remember they are part of the body politic. They are part of the gestalt whole. They are one with you and yours and all it is. And that's just a different side of who we are. Namaste. And then mindfulness and recovery, the one with which I struggle. Not getting lost in your own thoughts. Not getting lost in your own mind racing. Not letting your shoulders wrestle with your ears, and your eyebrows try to knit a sweater over your nose. Knitted brows, wrestling shoulders, the hunch. And I also find that I start grinning like a death grin. It can get quite painful before I even notice I'm doing it. And here's a funny thing. Because I'm autistic, and the mask that I chose when I was young is that of confident and relaxed, if there's people around, it actually helps me until they start talking to me and asking me questions about myself. And I start feeling like I have to explain this, and I have to explain that. That's fine if they're asking me questions about my hobby, but if they're asking me about me, I might as well go off and just sit and mind race in an empty room, I guess. Mindfulness. Yeah. It's an interesting topic, is it not?